All right, so Brussels sprouts, a beautiful fall and wintertime staple at the farmer's market. You can often buy them on a stalk like this, and they'll keep quite a while because they're still attached to the stalk, or you'll often find them already cut or broken off where you can buy them by the pound. I like to buy them by the stalk just for storing and sticking around, and it's just a really simple 3 preparations we're going to do of Brussels sprouts today. We're going to roast them, we're going to saute them, and we're going to just finely shave them and put them raw into a salad. So for this first roasting technique, super simple, I'm going to cut the Brussels sprouts from the stalk. And I'm going to just cut a couple of them all at once, probably however many you're going to prepare. Watch out for your fingers, tips, with your sharp knife. Make sure you're cutting away from yourself. I'm going to get this beauty out of the way. So for each of the individual little Brussels, kind of like a cute little baby cabbage, I'm going to trim off the woody end, and then I'm just going to cut it straight in half. And a couple of the little outer leaves will fall off. They're probably the dirtier leaves, the ones that might be hiding some debris under them. And at this point, if you wanted to cut all of your Brussels sprouts in half, you'd give them a little rinse in the sink, but I'm just setting them, for time-saving sake, directly onto my pan. I have my army of Brussels. They're rolling around a little bit, but I'll straighten them out. So I'm gonna do that with a couple more. I'm gonna cut off the woody end and just turn it and cut it into 2 little halves. Let some of the leaves fall. I've got my compost bowl over here that's collecting everything. And line my baking sheet with my beautiful Brussels sprouts. All right, and once I've got a sheet full, and pretend like I gave them a little rinse, I'm gonna line them up so they are facing with the flat side up, because in this preparation, I haven't done anything to these Brussels besides cut them in half and put them on this sheet. And I'm gonna take bacon that I already cut into little slices. I'm just gonna lay a slice of bacon, and I'll pick this up so you can see. I'm just giving each little Brussels a little blanket of bacon to tuck it in. And I'm gonna, each individual one, I'm gonna lay a piece of bacon, and I can get this done pretty quickly. If you are not a bacon eater, no problem. For roasting Brussels sprouts quickly, you'd want to do the prep work that we did, cut them off of the stalk, clean off the little woody ends, any debris, cut them in half, and put them in a bowl, and just quickly, or gently toss them with just a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper, and then add them to the lined baking sheet. So bacon, if you want to, it's our salt, right? I don't need to add any salt or oil. The bacon is taking care of both of those things for me, but if you wanted to make them without meat, you just toss them with a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper. And so my Brussels here have got their little blankets of bacon, and I'm just gonna put them straight into the oven. The oven is has preheated to 400 degrees. I'm gonna pop them in there. The bacon and the Brussels are gonna cook together. It's only gonna take about 15 minutes, and you'll be able to see that the bacon is done cooking. That's how you'll know, and they'll be a little bite size, ready to eat as a side dish, or even just a little snack. All right, we'll give them about 15 minutes. All right, we're back, and the Brussels sprouts have actually been in the oven for closer to 20 minutes, but they're ready to pull them out. I'm looking at the bacon, and I can see that it's cooked and that the underside of the Brussels sprout is getting a little brown. They're getting a little crispy. Really, I could smell them. And here they are, They've come out. I of course will like have a little taste soon, but I can see that they're getting brown underneath. And really, a good test, of course, is the taste. I'm gonna stab one with a fork. I got the bacon and the Brussels on there. The bottom of the Brussels, a little crispy and brown. Definitely done and definitely delicious. Success with those Brussels. So now we're gonna move on to a second quick recipe to do with Brussels sprouts. My stock is back, and I'm gonna cut off a couple more. And something to consider, I'm cutting toward the stem, right? So if I lose control of my knife, it's gonna go into the stem versus like up toward me or into my hand. I'll cut off 3 more Brussels, and I'll get this out of the way again. So I have space on my cutting board. This is also a great stage to do some rinsing of the Brussels sprouts. There is sometimes a concern that if you get too much moisture into the Brussels, it's going to steam rather than get like crispy and cook. So if I just take the Brussels off of the stem, trim their little woody ends off of the bottom. This is a great stage at which to give them a rinse where it's getting the outside debris off without getting too much water in there that might cause them to steam. So something to think about with your Brussels. You don't want them to get mushy, right? We're not, boiling is not one of the Brussels sprout methods today. We're doing quicker cooks that are just like nice and crispy bites to eat. In this salad, we'll actually be eating the Brussels sprouts raw. I've already just quickly shaved, I'd say, these Brussels sprouts and put them in a bowl, and I'll do that with a couple more. This time I'll set the flat end down. As you probably know, that's like the safest way to be cutting. It's not gonna move or slip around. And I just, as thinly as I can, don't worry about it being too thin, but I'm gonna cut the Brussels sprouts. That one Brussels sprout became this wonderful, like shredded, almost like a slaw. And that's how we're gonna think of this salad and prepare it, is similar to a slaw. Perfectly wonderful to eat raw Brussels sprouts. We're going to add some other ingredients to spice it up and make it a little bit more exciting. I've already thinly sliced some red onion. I like the bite of red onion, but sometimes it can be a little bit too much if it's like too much of a jolt to you. A trick is soaking red onions in some cold water, ice water, throw an ice cube in there if you've got one, for like 15 or 20 minutes. You'll keep the flavor of the red onion, but it'll get rid of that like more of a shocking kind of stinging of a bite. So I already soaked these and I'm adding them to the salad. I feel like I could have sliced them a little bit thinner, but I'm not too worried about it. Again, I like red onion, and all salads should be like choose your own adventure, right? Pick the recipe, pick the ingredients that you like. That's what's gonna make you want to eat the salad. So I'm also going to put nuts is always a great addition to a seasonal winter salad. I've got some pecans here that I just broke up with my hand. I didn't even chop these. I broke them up with my hand into little chunks. A seasonal farmer's market nut that you could get in the winter. Both hazelnuts and walnuts are at the farmer's market. So those would be appropriate for our region and are growing, and a wonderful thing to get. I've got some dried cranberries. I like to dry fruit. It's something that I'll do when the season comes around, but these I just bought in the bulk section of a grocery store. So I've got some ingredients going there. And then apple is always a nice sweet addition, again, depending on the flavors and what you like. I've got a tart green apple here, and you could slice it into really thin slivers or For apple, I like cubes. I want to be able to stab my fork into it. It'll help me get all the ingredients into the salad. So I put the flat side down on the apple, and I'm just very quickly dicing it into these size shapes. I could cut them smaller if I wanted, but I think that will be a nice size. That's maybe a little bit too much apple. Again, to your taste, the proportions that you like. Get some ingredients in there. Put in there what you are going to eat. You could get other winter greens in there. There are beautiful salad mixes at the farmer's market this time of year. Spinach is in season, which you could thinly slice or leave as big leaves and toss into the salad. The last thing I'm going to do, of course, is add a salad dressing. There are so many simple salad dressing ingredients out there that are probably made with things that you may already have in your cupboard or your pantry. This was some lemon juice, some olive oil, some salt and pepper, and a little bit of honey. Honey's a good sweetener, so is maple syrup, depending on what you've got around. I used lemon for the acid, but apple cider vinegar is a wonderful addition to salad dressings. And you can look at the recipe, and again, there's a method that you can alter to what tastes you like best. But this, I like to make it in a jar because I can quickly add the ingredients, right? They might separate in the refrigerator while you're storing it. You can give it a little shake. I just remembered there's also a little bit of mustard in here. That's the color. And I like the flavor. And it emulsifies, it helps keep the dressing balanced together. I'm gonna give it a sprinkle over my salad. Try not to have it come out of my jar too quickly. There's already pepper in there, but you could always, of course, sprinkle more cracked pepper if that's what you like. This is a beautiful winter salad made with just raw, shaved Brussels sprouts. I like the color of the red onion and the cranberry, and that's ready to go. That's ready to be a fresh meal to eat right now. It could be a side to my other Brussels dishes. You could have a full Brussels meal. And when I eat it, I, of course, this is why I cut the apples into chunks. I'm trying to get a stab of an apple bite onto my fork. There we go. It's a nice, crispy slaw. I'm a big fan of slaws. Again, add or subtract ingredients as you like them is always the way to go. All right, I've got my Brussels sprout stock, and we're now going to do just a really quick, simple saute, which is the way I most often, honestly, enjoy Brussels sprouts. So I cut one off of the stalk. I'll remove the woody end. With sauteing, it'll be really important to not have too much moisture in there. So at this point, I'd want to give the Brussels sprout a rinse if you see debris hiding under those leaves, but this one's ready to go. I'm gonna very thinly as I can, I'm gonna slice the Brussels sprout. It's almost just shaved. That's how I would describe it. And I've got my pile here of Brussels sprouts that I've already prepared. I'll turn on my burner to a medium-high heat. Add some oil. This really quick dish is just gonna be Brussels sprouts, olive oil, salt, and pepper. So my pan is on. This is an induction burner, so the oil's going in immediately. At home, you'd wanna let your pan heat up and then add the oil, and then let the oil heat up. This one's very efficient, so the oil will get hot really fast. I'm just evenly making sure it's coating the bottom of the pan. I'm gonna throw in a little Brussels to see how hot it is. Not quite yet. Oh, it's getting there. It's getting hot. So really quick, just medium-high heat. Our oil's heated. I'm gonna take my beautiful shaved Brussels sprouts, and as I drop them into the pan, I'm just giving them a little squeeze. I'm breaking up the Brussels sprouts. So they're becoming like individual leaves. Similar, just like the slaw, it's a shaved Brussels sprout. I'm gonna get them in the oil. I can already smell that they're cooking. Give them a little sprinkle of sea salt, a couple twists of pepper. I like a lot of pepper, so I'm not shy about it. And these are already, the ones that were on the bottom are starting to brown. So the oil was hot, so it's getting the Brussels sprouts nice and crispy. And I'm moving them around, but not too much. This was like 1 serving of Brussels sprouts. It was 5 pretty big Brussels. You want to make sure there's plenty of room in the pan, right? I didn't pack that full. You want enough room for them to move around, again, so they don't steam. You just want to saute them really quick. And depending on how thinly they're sliced, they'll cook up really quick. Again, our goal is to not let them get mushy. So once they start to brown, I'm keeping an eye on them. We can see the moisture coming off of them. They're done. They're ready. I turned off the heat. I'm going to take a little bite. You can still hear them crisping up a little bit, but these babies are finished. Maybe a little bit too much oil in the pan, but they're done. Nice and warm and crispy. They've got the crunchy texture of the vegetable. We haven't turned them into mush, but they've got that little bit of that browning or caramelization that we like to see with the flavor of the salt and pepper. It's just really simple way, and the way I most often prepare Brussels sprouts. You could eat them as a side dish, add them with other vegetables. If you're making a warm salad with, say, cubed up butternut squash or something, this would be a great addition to a warm salad. The simplest and easiest way, and oh so delicious. Add another salt, a little bit more salt if needed, a little bit more pepper. Adjust those things to your taste. And there's our sauteed Brussels sprouts.